When you wake up to all the deception of the world, you basically have two options. One, you rant and rave about how bad things are, and you get angry at all those who don't see what you see, and you blame them for why humanity is not further along. Or you internalize that deception and you express gratitude for your vantage point, for being one of the ones who is able to see that deception, and you devote yourself to becoming the best version of yourself you can possibly be and commit to becoming successful. Because the truth is, the more successful you become, the more impact you can have. And I swear, the biggest challenge that people face is mismanagement of their time. People don't know how to manage their time. And time lost is life lost. I did a presentation last week for a group of people, and it was well received. In fact, the feedback was so good, I've decided to make the entire presentation available to you here on YouTube. So without further ado, here is the Greatness Game Plan, designing your personal formula for success. I'm going to start today with a little quote that I love. I love this quote. It's from an entrepreneur named Andy Frisella. He says, "Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion," and I could not agree more. This is the kind of quote that I wish I had come up with first, but Andy did, and credit where credit's due. Okay. In our world right now, you can be awake and aware, and also stuck and unfulfilled, or you can be successful and impactful, or maybe somewhere in between. I'm not sure. It's not that drastic, perhaps, but you have options. But there's no excuse for not pursuing greatness. I fundamentally believe this. And to be great doesn't mean you have to sell out. And that's something I used to think that was an ignorant belief that I held for a very long time. And that's because I was ignorant. In this workshop, I'm going to share with you what I believe to be a time-tested, foolproof, ironclad method and framework for becoming great. Or as I like to say, how you can be undeniable. I see people entering still, which is great. Tom, just make sure you keep letting them in. Here's me. I think you probably know who I am, but in case you don't, that's me. My name is Benny Wills. I'm the founder of the brand new Iron Wills community for men. Before that, a long time ago, in a land far away, I created a YouTube channel with my friends called Joy Camp. Some of you may be aware of it. It was comedy. It was sketch comedy. It was all about making fun of controversial topics, I guess you could say. We called it conscious comedy. We really saw it as a way to bridge the gap for people who were not wanting to engage or think about or talk about, more controversial or taboo subjects. It was really just us having a lot of fun. And it was a way for us to have an outlet to not go insane in this crazy world. We were able to laugh at all the crazy things we were uncovering and learning about, going down the rabbit hole, and we decided to make jokes about it, and people seemed to like it. And it actually really set me off on the path that I'm continuing on right now. I've also performed and emceed at conferences that are truth-based, liberty, freedom themed all around the world. Top left there, I was the MC for the Red Pill Expo. That's me with Del Bigtree and Dr. Zach Bush and the man, the myth, the legend himself, G. Edward Griffin. And there I am sitting on the couch with another myth and legend, just a legend, Ron Paul, interviewing him when I was the MC at the Anarchapulco conference. And that bottom left photo is just me performing some poetry at an event as well. I did that for years, and it was amazing. I miss it, frankly.
but again, a part of the journey that I'm on. Some of you might know me from Meme Monday, which I don't have a slide for, but it's a weekly live stream of the week's best memes that I did for 3.5 years, starting in 2020 at the height of the COVID hysteria. Again, try to help people cope and feel better and make light of an otherwise pretty horrendous situation. And I did that for 3.5 years, and it was super fun. And I quit doing it about a year ago because I really wanted to focus in more on helping people. I've created two programs, two courses in the past 4 years. The first one was called Parrhesia. I've since renamed it to be called Free Your Speech, basically because Parrhesia was too obscure of a word. People had no idea what it was. It's a great word. I tried to bring it back, but anyway, just making it a little easier to understand what I was doing or what I'm doing with it. And then last summer, I created the Self-Reliant Way, which was the continuation essentially of Free Your Speech or Parrhesia, because I identified a greater need, an underlying problem that was reoccurring with the people I was working with in Parrhesia, which was, mm, let's just call it a lack of purpose, lack of fulfillment, stagnation, just being stuck, almost paralyzed by the awareness that they had about the world and all the many endless problems we face in our world today. Okay. So this is the greatness game plan, designing your personal formula for success. I'm going to start with a big picture overview. This is the cold hard reality. 95% of men fail to thrive in their lifetimes. And if you've watched my recent content, I've said this multiple times, I think the biggest tragedy on earth truly is the unrealized potential of almost every person here. Even though we're born with unlimited potential, very few actually realize it, which is a curiosity to me and a tragedy. The ability to achieve and succeed is built into us. It's in our DNA. There is a, a an optimized maximum version of yourself that is within you. But for most, it is dormant. Again, this is curious to me. Why? As a truth seeker, I can't help but wonder why that is. Which means 95% of men never form clear goals. 95% of men never develop enough faith or certainty in their ability to achieve their goals. 95% never cultivate the desire required to stay focused and on task toward reaching their goals. And 95% never realize their dreams. This is a quote from the great Earl Nightingale about the 95%. If you take 100 individuals who start even at the age of 25, do you have any idea what will happen to those men and women by the time they're 65? These 100 people believe they're going to be successful. They are eager toward life. There's a certain sparkle in their eye, an erectness to their carriage, and life seems like a pretty interesting adventure to them. But by the time they're 65, only one will be rich, four will be financially independent, five will still be working, and 54 will be broke and depending on others for life's necessities. Only 5 out of 100 make the grade. Which means, therefore, that there are two groups of men. There are men who understand that they are the architects of their own destinies. They control their own lives. And then there's men who don't. Group one is about 5% of the population, while group two is the other 95%. Even though 100% of them have two primary ambitions: to be important, you could even say to be respected, and to achieve financial independence. So why do so few men seem to get the memo? Well, I think it's because human beings by nature are programmable And human beings by nature conform to their environments. We are easily programmed and we conform to our surroundings. So the odds are 95 to 5 that a person is surrounded by that larger group. And we adapt to the people around us. And those people fail to decide what they want out of life. You can break it down pretty simply. They fail to decide. They hope for the best. They are aware of what's possible, but because of their failure to decide what they want, they don't get anything, or they don't get what they dream about, which means they have no clear goal or goals, no purpose, no direction, no intention. And without a clear goal, without a clear destination, you operate like a ship without a rudder. And something I say again, if you've been watching my recent content or reading my newsletters, I'm very adamant about this. You can't build a house without a blueprint. You cannot arrive at a destination without a map. Our lives are absolutely no different. I didn't realize this until, well, sometime in the last decade. And once I realized it, it was a humbling yet liberating realization. My goal is to get you into the 5% because there are no gatekeepers to becoming undeniable. Fact. So in this presentation, I'm going to demystify the process of becoming great, which will hopefully save you a lot of time and frustration. There are universal keys for achievement. There are timeless principles for successful living. And I want to share with you a process that I have developed, that I've mapped out over several years of trial and error, failure and success. But with dedication and persistence, I arrived at this model. Well, before I get to that, if you truly utilize and implement the keys, the principles become your standards. If the standards become your rules, if you refuse to quit, you win. Now back to the process. I call it my plan of action. Action being an acronym. A is for activation, C is for chiseling, T is for training, I is for immersion, O is for optimization, and N is for now what? But before I dig into this further, you might be wondering, how did I get into this? Why am I qualified to even talk about this? Why should I even be giving this presentation? Well, let me tell you a little bit about my story so you can understand where it's coming from and where I'm coming from. Okay. Full transparency. In 2018, I left my life behind. I left my career, everybody I knew. I left Joy Camp, that comedy group I mentioned before, my friends, everything. I gave it all up because I wanted a better life. I wanted financial freedom. I had just met my wife. She wasn't my wife then, of course, Sonia, and we wanted to pursue freedom through financial means. And it was because we were so inspired by all the people we got to meet at the various conferences and events that I was speaking at and performing at. That was honestly the best part of being included in that circuit, was getting a front row seat to hear some of the greatest minds in the world, the wisest, most amazing people who were on the stage delivering incredible wisdom. And also, I noticed there were a lot of them who were living these amazing lives, knowing what I knew. And I thought that with my knowledge of the rabbit hole and how messed up everything was, it was impossible to get to that level of success through honest means. And I was wrong. So we really paid attention. And the first thing we did was get into fix and flip real estate or wholesaling. And it was because we had a conversation with a guy who explained how it worked, and we loved the idea. It was all voluntary. You solve problems for people, and you all agree on the terms, so everybody wins, and there's no third party to step in and tell you how to do it. It was awesome. So we got into it and we did it. We kind of fumbled our way into it, having never done anything with real estate, having never done remodels or anything like that. And we did well. We succeeded at it, but we didn't like it. It was unfulfilling. It was a lot of work, a lot of stress. It was not the thing. So 2020 arrived. And I mean, come on, 2020 was like a bomb going off. I was emceeing the Anarchapulco conference. And during one of the breaks, Sonia approached me and said that she was pregnant. So I found out we were pregnant, or she was pregnant, at the Anarchapulco conference in February of 2020. 2 weeks later is when everything went kablooey, when everything shut down and everything just got super crazy. So in 2020, not only was the hysteria growing, and it was sort of an apex, a crescendo moment that we'd all kind of been anticipating. I'm assuming you here know what I'm talking about. Like there was something brewing, and then it all came to the surface in 2020 with COVID. And as that got weirder and weirder, my wife got more and more pregnant. So it was a very strange time. And we decided that real estate wasn't the thing. And frankly, real estate wasn't, we just didn't know what the future of that was going to be like. We didn't like doing it anyway. It sparked something in me. And this I found is what a lot of people have said about 2020. In spite of how horrible it was, 2020 seemed to activate people on a large scale. People finally stepped up to the plate because the stakes were raised so high. People finally started doing the things they had known they should be doing in 2020. A lot of people stepped up and said, I want to help. And for me, I wanted to do the same. Not only that, but I had a family that I was about to start, and I wanted to do something entrepreneurial on my own terms that was a service to others that would then also help me and my family. So I assessed my life and thought, okay, what am I good at? What can I help people with? What am I uniquely qualified to do? And as I looked back at my track record, communication became the obvious thing. Because I had been a conspiracy guy for almost 2 decades at that point, I had learned the hard way how to actually express myself and how to hold my own in a conversation with somebody who was on the other side of the fence when it comes to, an opinion on a certain topic. And I had been crafting a way, I'd been figuring out a way to actually have conversations with people, to broach these difficult subjects in a way that actually helped and made progress and didn't offend them. And I decided to share that. And not only that, but of course, everything else I'd done also was communication. The comedy videos were communicating ideas. The poetry was communication. So I created a course around it, and I worked with a lot of people. And again, I was just throwing myself at this entrepreneurial thing, starting a business without any knowledge, any background, nothing. All I had was the determination to succeed because I had to, because I had a family. So through that process, I naturally got interested in what it takes to manage a business and grow a business. Because you don't just get successful and then opt out. You have to sustain success, and you have to make sure that the plates all spin and that the gears are in motion and that your machine is running. And it was a crash course for me, and it was not easy. And during that, I had to confront a lot of my own immaturity and a lot of my mental demons, I guess you could say. Things that we all battle, like self-doubt, not having the skills, not having knowledge, having my own weird poverty consciousness about money, overcoming stuff like that. I was a C student in high school. I really barely graduated. So having to develop a work ethic in my 30s, I was a free spirit in my 20s. I just did whatever I wanted when I wanted to do it. I had really unhealthy beliefs about money. I hated money. I thought we had to pay to be alive, and that was a travesty against humanity. I was so supremely anti-authority that I was really just in my own way about, well, how to succeed in life. But that pressure of the family kept me going. And I learned that the more money you have, the more freedom you have. Plain and simple. Because money equals options. More options equals more freedom. And with life getting more expensive, instead of complaining about it or penny pinching and cost cutting, I realized my best option was to have more money. And when you really get into that business space and you understand what, how to, when you want to bring something to the marketplace, the best thing to bring is something that will help people. Service is the most ethical way to produce money for yourself. So, in this process, as a snot-nosed, rookie, dumbass entrepreneur, I leaned on the skill, a skill that I had been sharpening for a very long time, which was my ability to research and to dig deep. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Like, we're good researchers. You know how to dissect a story to get to the bottom of it. You know how to analyze history with a critical eye. I applied that skill to business because going online to figure out how do you make more money, how do you increase your how do you get your business better? And you go online to look up that information, and it's so overwhelming. Everyone's trying to tell you how to do it, and it can get to be too much very fast. So I had to take a step back. And again, leaning on this ability to research, I said, okay, well, what is the truth about success? Instead of looking at what's happening now and going online, well, what has been written about this? What has been taught about this? What has been shared throughout time? And what are the universal principles and keys? So before, when I was down the rabbit hole, this is kind of where I was at. I was obsessed with conspiracy. Everything, I wanted to know the truth about everything because I was trying to make sense of reality and why there was so much evil. So I was obsessed with the corrupt government and things like Satanists and Freemasons and the elite and the hidden hand and all the problems, 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 problems. And I was bitter and angry. And in retrospect, only in retrospect did I realize what a victim I was. I was really playing the role of victim while I was doing that. And I was guilty of judging others. I thought I was somehow special because I had my own little special perch, my vantage point, looking out at humanity, thinking that I knew something that everybody else didn't, which to an extent is, I guess, somewhat true, to an extent. But I was outsourcing responsibility. I wasn't taking my own life into my own hands, and I was using all those things I just mentioned as excuses as to why I wasn't moving forward with my life. And like I already mentioned, I had really unhealthy and unhelpful views on money and success. So this shifted. And I decided to take control of my life. I wanted to seek financial freedom through service, got married, wanted to start a family, wanted to reclaim my focus and time and establish autonomy. And I made a study of success. I researched success. I became a voracious reader. I started experimenting. I implemented like crazy, and I took control of my life. And I became obsessed with the truth about life, purpose, power, influence, the mind, wisdom, wealth, self-control, fulfillment. I wanted to know what is the truth about not only business success, but success in life. And why do so few men achieve greatness while most remain mediocre. Wanted to scratch that itch. What is the wisdom of success? What are the keys and principles you can apply from throughout time? Not just 21st century, not just what's happening right now in 2024, but what you can apply in any time period. And this involved defining success for myself, how to achieve it, how to sustain it, how to live a good life, how to live without regret, how to have a legacy, how to make an impact, and how to rise out of mediocrity. I became absolutely obsessed. And it turned out to be the most exciting rabbit hole I've ever been down. And then once I started applying and implementing these keys and principles, my life transformed instantly. In only 1 year, everything changed. And this is a fundamental truth that needs to be said. The only thing that's standing in the way of you and what you want is you. This is like wisdom 101. Not only you, but your thoughts. You and your thoughts are what's standing in your way. That all sounds great, Benny, but you might be thinking, cool, fine. But where do I start with this? What's the first step? Well, the first step here, right now, grab a pen and paper, wherever you are. I can't see you. I'm on my my screen is full with this presentation. I cannot see you. Grab a pen and paper. If there's one within reach, I want to I'm going to walk you through an exercise. We're going to do an exercise to help you gain a holistic overview of where you are right now. We sometimes mistakenly compare ourselves to others or judge ourselves by a single metric, whether it's the dollar amount in our bank account, the number we see on the scale when we step on it, or what we do for a living. But happiness alone isn't the result of a dollar amount or a physique or a beautiful wife or any one thing. There are 5 ingredients of happiness. They are health and energy, loving relationships, meaningful work, financial freedom, and inner peace and spiritual understanding. If you have high levels of all 5 of these things, you will be a genuinely happy person. So the exercise. We're going to figure out what's working and what's not working. So write these down. Health and energy, loving relationships, meaningful work, financial freedom, inner peace, and spiritual understanding. Write these things down. This is really simple. You're not going to write too much. Just write these down and then give yourself a score next to each one between 1 and 5. 1 being poor, 5 being optimal. Because one of the problems that people have is they set blind goals. They make some claim like, I want to have $10 million. For whatever reason, it's always $10 million. That's the number people come up with. It's almost cliche. I want $10 million. And then they take off running towards that. But if you do, you'll probably burn out quickly. First of all, you haven't identified the why behind the want. But you end up taking advice on 100 different problems all at once from various experts on the internet or from books without knowing which problem or however you want to frame it, obstacle or roadblock, challenge, you actually need to solve first. Think of it like this. If you want to go from point A to point B, you must not only know about point B, but also point A. And your ultimate goal is to have 5 fives. That's the goal. That's a good life. And just by doing this exercise, just by like being that honest with yourself, you're putting yourself a little bit closer, one step closer to your ultimate goal. Whether you are aware or you've identified what the ultimate goal exactly is yet. And what does having all fives look like? Well, you probably already know. Looks like this. You look good and you feel good. You trust yourself. You're energetic and enthusiastic. You have lots of love in your life. You're surrounded by awesome and inspiring people. You're doing valuable work that you enjoy doing that's helpful to others. You have plenty of money and have no fear of scarcity. You have a deep connection to your life and your place in the world, and you don't rely on quick dopamine hits, instant gratification, or vices to feel good. That's what having all fives looks like. And I'm sure you could probably add 20 more things to this list. So, how do we go from wherever you are to having all fives? Well, first of all, it's a lifelong process, it's a pursuit. And this is where my plan of action comes in handy. This is what I've built for myself, and I'm sharing it with you. Plan of action. This is what it looks like. Activating. This phase is where you decide to change. It's the decision to change. You're inspired to be different, for things to be different, and you're determined to change your current circumstances, big or small. It doesn't matter. There's something that's not optimal. You want it to be better. You're determined to fix it. The chiseling phase is where you're untying knots. You're eradicating anything from your current situation, from your current circumstances that don't serve you. This is a hard thing to do. Training. So you're implementing new plans, new strategies, new habits, new routines, new thoughts. This is where you're putting in the reps. You're making this the new way of life for yourself. Then it's immersion. This is where you're taking massive action. You have clarity now on where you're going and what you want and who you're becoming. And you're utilizing your new superpower of focus. And focus is a superpower. Next phase is optimizing, where you start to experience the payoff. You're seeing things change. You're seeing the results. You're seeing small wins and big wins. You're seeing the fruits of your labor materialize. And now what? Well, now that you've overcome yourself, you've proved to yourself what you're capable of. Now you're free to set your sights on any target you wish to aim at. So, where are you right now? You're in one of these phases. You're here. The fact that you're here proves that you're in one of these phases. Are you activating? Are you chiseling? Are you on a good path, but you just need some more optimization? And everything starts with a decision. To change, you have to decide to change. You can't just change by luck. You have to decide it. And that starts with changing how you think. Your thoughts. Your thoughts have to change. This is not easy to do, but it's required. This is a popular word in our culture today, mindset. Now, this word has been in my, I guess, my awareness for a long time, but it didn't actually ever stick. It didn't speak to me until I started, again, absorbing myself in the wisdom of the ages. I prefer, well, here's another quote. Emerson said, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." Powerful quote. I see it as mind control. We're all familiar with mind control, right? The truth is, If you're not in control of your own mind, someone else or something else is. You have to have control over your own mind. So you have to brainwash yourself. Use another term that us alternative folks are very familiar with. You have to brainwash yourself toward becoming that better version of yourself. You have to brainwash yourself into doing things, into becoming something, into being successful in a way that you have not experienced yet. It starts with your mind. Because your thoughts dictate your reality. If you have happy thoughts, you're happy. If you have miserable thoughts, you're miserable. Fearful thoughts, you're in fear. Failure thoughts equal failure. Self-loathing and self-pitying thoughts equates to no friends and no support. You have to control your own mind. Our current habits and thought loops hold us hostage from becoming who we really are and achieving what we're truly capable of. Fact. This is a popular sentiment, especially amongst the alternative crowd. I hear it all the time. We are all slaves. We're all just slaves on the plantation. We're debt slaves. We're wage slaves. We're government slaves. Slaves. I'm not saying that there's not some truth in that. But if that's your belief system, if you really believe that, then you are. This is a great quote from this guy, Eric Heller, that I think is great. Be careful how you interpret the world. It is like that. Your perception will dictate your reality. So again, yeah, there's some truth in that, in some of those claims about being slaves. But I don't think it has to be so harsh. Here's another uncomfortable truth. A lot of people don't like to hear. It's unsettling for some. Your only real enemy is you. Maybe that's obvious. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's getting your feathers ruffled. I don't know. It was a humbling realization for me. Maybe it's not for you. I don't know. Here's what we are slaves to. This is not even debatable. We are slaves to our vices, our habits, our emotions, our past, and our problems. This is what enslaves us the most. Never mind taxes or whatever else. This is what really enslaves us, has the most power over us. And the real enemies are within, and they are doubt, discouragement, indecision, and procrastination. Cool. Sounds great, Benny. But how do I control my thoughts? You must immerse yourself in new information, new ideas, and new habits to reprogram your mind. Going back to the action plan, activate. What else does this entail? This means with that decision and with that determination to change who you are, means no more blaming, no more complaining, no more criticizing, no more demonizing, no more regret, no more despair, no more jealousy, no more wasting time. You have to let go of grudges. You have to let go of contempt. You have to forgive everyone. And more importantly, you have to forgive yourself for all the stupid things you've done. Chisel. You got to tackle those bad habits. It's not easy, but it's required. If you want to get better, if you want to improve, you want to change, you want to grow, you want to succeed. If you have a bad habit, you know it's a bad habit. It's time to face it. You know, a lot of guys want purpose. Well, if you have a bad habit that's destroying your life or at least has a hold over you, that's your purpose right now to overcome that bad habit. You drop your baggage and you quit making excuses. And you train. You replace the bad habits with good ones. You exercise delayed gratification, not quick fixes. You develop an optimistic outlook because the world belongs to optimists. You challenge your comfort zone. You set a clear primary goal to focus all of your efforts toward. And you immerse yourself. You make achieving that goal your sole focus. And you say no to as much as possible. You narrow your focus. You turn things down. You commit to it. You trust the process. And you constantly evaluate the data. Meaning, if you know where you want to go, you know where you want to end up, you know what you're trying to bring into your life, and you hit a roadblock, you have to dissect that roadblock and figure out how to remove it so that you can stay on the path. Evaluate the data. Is it working? Is it not working? Is this getting me closer to my goal or not? Evaluation of the data. When you optimize, you'll notice the circumstances of your life have changed. The goal has been obtained. Be thankful. Celebrate. It's very easy to let the wins come and go, and we focus on what's not working, the losses. When a win happens, we kind of downplay it, but it's important to recognize the success and the achievement, acknowledge it, celebrate it, pat yourself on the back, but then don't stop. Keep going. And the now what phase, guess what? The world is your oyster, and you keep achieving, and you die in pursuit of more. The whole concept of retirement boggles my mind. What are you retiring from? Yeah, work a job for 40 years and you don't like it, you retire from that, but in life, you don't retire, you die. You're always in pursuit of something. The purpose of pursuing goals is to give your life purpose. And the man that you become, who really is the man that you really truly are, that's the real achievement. And that's why we pursue goals. That's why we keep striving and keep achieving. Who you become is the reward, is the real achievement. So if you are interested in joining the 5%, which I hope you are, because this world needs you, if you're tolerating mediocrity, or if you're already by definition successful, but you're feeling unfulfilled, if you're plagued by negative thoughts and you don't want to spend the rest of your life unhappy and playing small, if you're tired of consuming more than you create, if you're done with your self-destructive habits and want to feel empowered and in control and unshackled by vices, I can help. Not only can I help, we can help. We can help each other. This community that I'm forming, that I'm establishing right now, the Iron Wolves community for men, can get you there faster and easier. And it's exclusively for nonconformists, truth seekers, and unconventional thinkers. I think this is probably the only men's group in the entire world, as far as I can tell, that is designed specifically for you guys, for guys like us. I've done a lot of market research, and most men's groups are a little more general. A lot of times you'll see these guys with six packs howling at the moon in the woods, hugging each other. I'm not creating that. If you guys end up doing that, fine. I don't care. This is for you guys, the nonconformists, the truth seekers, and the unconventional thinkers of the world. In order to shift into a new reality, you've got to understand where you're working from. What is it about your life that has you wanting more? What else is there for you? More importantly, why haven't you already made the progress you know deep down you're capable of? Here's a fact. Old habits and old programming keeps people from getting what they want more than anything else. They keep you stuck, and it happens on a subconscious level. It's buried deep. And when you're in pursuit of something, when you're in progress, when you're focusing your efforts towards something, bringing it into your life, working hard to get it, you're happy. And it's a different kind of happiness than I think we often associate the meaning of happiness to. Happiness isn't like a joyful feeling, a fleeting feeling. No, happiness, that like you're content because you know you're working towards something significant. That's happiness. Progress is happiness. And I have great news. Right now, in 2024, in spite of all the nonsense and weirdness, it has never been easier to build a successful business, become rich, find a partner, connect with other like-minded people, reach millions with your ideas, your message, your products, your services. Leave your mark on this world. It has never, ever in history been as easy as it is right now. Create a legacy also. Now, that doesn't mean any of that is easy. Just means it's never been easier. And again, more money equals more options equals more freedom. Freedom in an unfree world. Sounds pretty good to me, anyway. So the Iron Wills community is a community of cool dudes like you guys on similar journeys as you, pursuing greatness together, holding each other accountable, sharing ideas and resources, and laughing in the face of evil. Because honestly, we're going to be hanging out, gotta have a good sense of humor. Like, you have to be able to not take yourself or the world that seriously. It's kind of a prerequisite for anyone who gets into my inner circle in my life. That's what we can do together. And when you laugh, it's disarming, it's less threatening. So, what's inside? Iron Wills is monthly trainings, workshops, and master classes, Q&As, coaching sessions, masterminds, guest speakers, and more. If you sign up today, you get instant access to the community. You can go in and you can introduce yourself and you can start connecting with the other guys who are already in there. You'll gain immediate access to a workshop I did last month, which I called Crush Goals, Your Plan for the Next 10 Years. I already have the next 3 trainings mapped out over the next 3 months in just a few weeks, actually, maybe even less than a few weeks. First one's called 5 Fundamentals for Successful Living. Change your philosophy, change your life. Then Stop Wasting Time. 7 Keys to Conquer Your Never-Ending To-Do List. Because honestly, I can't tell you how many people say procrastination is like the biggest thing holding them back. And then Live Without Regret, my process for achieving goals. So, is this right for you? The guys who will benefit the most from the Iron Wills community are the ones who show up with integrity, who do what they say they're going to do when they said they were going to do it. They participate. They're encouraging and they're willing to put their pessimism aside and work from a place of how can we instead of why we can't. Who this is not for. This is not for guys who just want to come and shit talk the rest of the world and point fingers at how stupid the sheep are. We're done with that. I'm done with that. It's not for you if all you want to do is complain about how messed up everything is and how we're all doomed. Another perk is I'm doing a social media mastermind within the community. And what I mean is, I've developed a decent following over the past decade. I have, I think, over 30,000 people who follow my work with some regularity. I have some reach, but I've never done social media with any sort of intention or plan until now. And I've been in a mastermind group for the past 7 months, all about growing on social media. And I have a game plan I'm going to be enacting and carrying out. And I want to invite anybody who wants to go on the journey with me to go on it with me. And we can share resources, share ideas, work together. And if anybody who is interested in growing a following for any reason on social media, this is another perk of being in the community. I want to increase my reach. I want to find more guys like you because I do think that strength in numbers is how we win. So that's what my plan is. If you want to be involved with that, that's another aspect of the community. It's not a necessity. It's just something that if you want to partake in, you can. So can you achieve greatness on your own? Can you join the 5% on your own? Can you achieve 5 5s on that happiness spectrum? Yes, of course you can. But it sure is a whole lot easier with a team. You hasten the process of growth by working with a coach or a mentor or anyone who's already done what you're trying to do. You get the lessons without the scars. Not to mention what you get from the other guys in the community, which is now turning into a treasure trove of skills, experiences, and expertise to draw on. Great, Benny, we get it. What's the price? Well, before I tell you that, what's the price of doing it alone, huh? It's time. Time, your most precious resource. You can use books, podcasts, YouTube videos. There's plenty of resources out there available for free that you can dig into to accomplish whatever you want. This number right here, $27,500. That's not what you're going to pay. That's how much money I have spent on private coaching, mentorship, courses, and masterminds. Is that a lot of money? Yeah, it is. Was it worth it? Damn right. And now I am sharing everything that was worthwhile from all of that within this community. Again, the lessons without the scars. If I could go back and do it all over again, start this entrepreneurial journey, gosh, if I could go even further back to my early 20s, I would seek out help. I was fiercely independent, thought I could do everything on my own, figure out everything on my own. And that did get me pretty far because I was self-confident. But if I knew that I could shortcut so much of the process by learning from those who had already done it in a variety of ways, I wish I had done it that way. So that's what I've spent. So consider this a 99.9% discount. Ha ha. Seriously, it's just 29 bucks a month. That's what the community is. $29 a month, be part of this community. 99.9% discount. Learn everything that I've learned and share, and then learn from each other as well. The link to sign up I will put in the chat as soon as I make my screen not so big. And registration closes at midnight 1 week from today. I'm closing the doors next Thursday. And now we'll get to some questions, and I'll drop that link in the chat. And I will go ahead and release the censorship. I will unmute you.